The small apartment smelled faintly of reheated noodles and lemon cleaner. Ethan Cole taped a handwritten room for rent sign to the door with the same care he'd once given to drafting work schedules for dozens of employees. Now, at 37, the former warehouse supervisor had been reduced to surviving paycheck to paycheck, a single dad clawing through each month while raising his 8-year-old daughter, Mia. The sign was his last resort. $200 a month wouldn't solve all their problems, but it might buy school supplies, cover Mia's next field trip, and maybe, just maybe, afford a week of groceries without coupons. That Tuesday afternoon, the knock came. When Ethan opened the door, he expected another college kid with earbuds and a checklist of demands. Instead, a young woman stood there, 20 years old, dressed simply in jeans and a plain sweater, carrying a single duffel bag. Her eyes were steady but carried something deeper, an unspoken weight. "My name's Anna," she said softly. "I'm studying art. I need somewhere quiet, somewhere peaceful to work." She didn't haggle over price, didn't ask about Wi-Fi speed or how thin the walls were. She just handed him crisp bills, first month's rent in cash. Mia, shy at first, warmed to her within days. By the end of the week, the kitchen table was covered in bright paper cranes. Anna had taught Mia origami, while Ethan worked his second shift delivering packages. For the first time in months, laughter returned to their little home. It felt almost perfect, too perfect. That's when Ethan noticed the bracelet. It was silver, elegant but understated, always on Anna's wrist no matter what she was doing, washing dishes, folding paper, or sketching quietly in the corner. Most people wouldn't have looked twice, but Ethan did. The light caught it one evening, and in that shimmer, he saw something that made his chest tighten. An engraved logo, Voss Holdings. The name alone was enough to twist his stomach. The billion-dollar corporation that had restructured him right out of his job 18 months ago. No severance, no compassion, just a sterile letter thanking him for his years of service. Losing that job had meant losing his health insurance. And without that insurance, Hannah, his wife, hadn't stood a chance when her heart condition worsened. The bills drained what little savings they had. The funeral drained everything else. It was impossible. Anna couldn't be connected to them. Not the sweet girl teaching me how to fold cranes. Not the tenant, who always paid on time. And yet, the logo didn't lie. Neighbors began to whisper. Mrs. Chun from 2B gave him pointed looks in the hallway. "Young girls these days," she muttered. "Single men should be careful about appearances." Dave, a co-worker at the delivery job, laughed more openly. "Dude, you got a college girl living with you? You know what people are thinking, right? What's your daughter going to think?" Ethan ignored them. Anna was respectful, tidy, and Mia adored her. That should have been enough. But the bracelet gnawed at him. And then came the laptop. Ethan had offered her his old one, half broken but usable, after she mentioned hers had crashed. She accepted quickly, too quickly. Most students today practically lived on their devices. Why hadn't she bought another? One night, while taking out the trash, Ethan saw her through the kitchen window. Anna wasn't browsing the web or typing essays. She was sliding something small and read into the USB port. A flash of light reflected off the drive's label before she snapped the laptop shut. When he stepped inside, she smiled brightly, almost too brightly. "Making tea. Want some?" He nodded, but his thoughts spun. A red USB drive. The logo on her bracelet. The company that had ruined him. And now she was hiding things under his roof, where his daughter slept upstairs. Ethan's instincts sharpened. Something was wrong. Something dangerous. For 3 weeks, Anna blended into their family as if she'd always belonged. She packed Mia's lunch, kept the apartment clean, and introduced small joys Ethan hadn't realized they'd lost. Game nights, paper chains, silly songs that echoed in the cramped rooms. But the signs never stopped. Rent paid in crisp hundreds. A refrigerator mysteriously stocked with groceries Ethan couldn't afford. Clothes simple in style, but clearly high quality. And that platinum credit card at the grocery store, the one she'd used to save Ethan from humiliation when his own debit card declined. When Ethan finally asked, "Who are you really?" Anna's fingers brushed her bracelet. "I'm exactly who I said I am, just not exactly who you think I am." Later that night, she knocked on his door. She looked younger than 20 as she sat on the edge of his bed, her voice trembling. "My name isn't just Anna. I'm Anna Voss. My father owns Voss Holdings." The world tilted. Ethan's fists clenched. "Your father—" "I know," she whispered, tears filling her eyes. "I know what his company did. I found your name in the records. I found Hannah's death certificate. I investigated everything." She reached for the old laptop, pulled out the red USB drive, and placed it in his palm. "Project Raven Lake. Do not disclose." "It's proof," she said. "Proof that the layoffs weren't about restructuring. They were cover. Raven Lake wasn't cost-cutting. It was contamination. They poisoned the water supply to drive down property values for a real estate acquisition. 17 people died, including your wife. The word struck harder than any fist could have. Hanahan just died because he'd lost his job. She died because of deliberate corporate greed. Outside, headlights glared through the blinds. A black SUV idled on the street, engine humming. Anna's face went pale. "They know I have it," she whispered. "They know I'm here. And now they know about you and Mia." At 9:47 p.m., the knock came. Not gentle, not neighborly. Sharp, authoritative. "Mr. Cole," a voice called. "We'd like to speak with you about your tenant." Ethan's heart hammered. His daughter was upstairs. His tenant, maybe his only ally, was trembling beside him, and on the table between them lay the drive that could bury an empire. Ethan's hand tightened on the doorknob. Behind him, Anna clutched the USB drive like it was a lifeline. Upstairs, Mia stirred in her sleep. Every instinct in Ethan's body screamed at him to protect his daughter. He cracked the door. 3 men in suits stood on the landing. Their haircuts were sharp, their shoes polished. The man in the center, older, with silver at his temples, looked like he'd never once been denied anything in his life. His eyes skimmed over Ethan dismissively before landing on Anna, who had stepped hesitantly into view. "Anna," the man said smoothly, "it's time to come home." Anna's knuckles whitened around the drive. "I am home," she whispered. The man laughed coldly, gesturing around the cramped apartment. This isn't home. This is charity housing. You belong with your family." "This is my family," Anna said, her voice trembling but steady. The younger men shifted impatiently. One leaned close to the older man. "Sir, maybe we should explain exactly who Mr. Cole has been harboring." But Anna straightened her back, eyes flashing. "No, I'll explain." Her voice carried into the night air. Neighbors peeked from behind curtains. Doors cracked open. The street grew silent. "My name is Anna Voss," she announced. "My father is Richard Voss, CEO of Voss Holdings. And I stole classified documents proving that his company murdered 17 people." A collective gasp rippled through the building. Mrs. Chun from 2B clapped her hand over her mouth. Dave from Ethan's delivery job muttered a low whistle. Phones began to rise, red record lights blinking in the dark. Richard Voss's composure slipped. "Just for a moment. Anna," he said tightly, "you don't know what you're talking about." "Yes, I do." Her voice grew stronger. 17 names. 17 lives. Hannah Cole, Maria Santos, James Patterson. All dead because your company contaminated the Raven Lake water supply. And then you laid off every worker who might have noticed, including Ethan. The crowd murmured. Some recorded. Others shouted questions. Richard's security men moved forward, but neighbors blocked them, emboldened by anger and curiosity. "You have no proof," Richard snapped. "I do," Anna said. She held up the USB drive. "It's all here, and everyone here tonight is a witness." Ethan finally spoke, his voice low but cutting. "You ruined my life once, Richard. You won't touch my daughter. Not again. Not ever." He lifted his phone, its screen glowing. "I've been recording this entire conversation. Every threat, every word." Across the landing, Mrs. Chin raised her tablet. Dave waved his phone. A dozen others followed suit, their devices capturing every second. Richard's mask cracked. Rage flooded his face. You think you can stand against me? I own this city. No, Anna said softly. You poisoned it. From upstairs, a small voice called down. Daddy? Mia appeared on the staircase in her pajamas, clutching a paper crane. Her wide eyes locked on the suited man. Ethan's chest clenched. This was it, the moment everything could shatter. Anna knelt, her voice breaking. Please, let me stay. Let me do the right thing. For her, for all of them. Richard looked at the phones, the witnesses, the fragile origami in Mia's tiny hands. His empire was unraveling in real time. He knew it. This isn't over, he spat. Yes, it is, Anna replied. Because tomorrow morning, I'm walking into the FBI office with this. She raised a USB drive. And tonight, everyone here heard you try to stop me. The men retreated, slipping back into the black SUV under a chorus of jeers from the neighbors. Cameras followed them until the taillights disappeared. Only then did Anna collapse against Ethan, trembling. I'm sorry, she whispered. I never wanted to bring danger into your home. Ethan wrapped an arm around her, steady and sure. You didn't bring danger, Anna. You brought truth. And truth is worth protecting. By morning, the videos had gone viral. Billionaire's daughter exposed his father's cover-up while living with single dad screamed across news sites. Clips from the apartment spread everywhere. Richard Voss sneering, Anna naming the victims, Ethan standing tall with his phone in hand. The FBI arrived at noon, not to arrest but to collect evidence. Anna handed over the USB drive. Agents confirmed what she'd said. Years of records, financial memos, engineering reports. Proof that Project Raven Lake was deliberate. Within hours, Voss Holdings stock crashed. By evening, Richard Voss was in custody. The charges stacked like bricks. Negligent homicide, environmental crimes, racketeering, witness intimidation. For Ethan, the sweetest moment came when the agent quietly confirmed. Hannah Cole's death was among those tied to the contaminated water. His wife hadn't just died because of bad luck. She'd been murdered by greed. Now, finally, someone would pay. The weeks that followed blurred into headlines and hearings. Neighbors shielded Anna from reporters. Mrs. Chin appointed herself media guard dog. Dave and his friends formed an informal security ring, ensuring no cameras got too close. Anna, once a girl with crisp hundreds and a platinum card, learned to budget. She got a part-time job at the art supply store, learned coupons, and even laughed at her first bounce check. She wore no jewelry now except for a bracelet Mia had made from folded paper links. 3 months later, Anna took the stand in federal court. She faced her father, once untouchable, now shackled in an orange jumpsuit. My father taught me power means escaping consequences, she told the jury, voice steady. But living with Ethan and Mia taught me real power is doing what's right, even when it costs you everything. The jury found Richard Voss guilty on all counts. Life in prison. No parole. Outside the courthouse, Anna held Mia's hand. Reporters shouted questions. She gave one answer. I found my real family in a $200 a month room. That's worth more than all my father's billions. A year later, at City Hall, Anna stood at a podium. Behind her, a banner read, Richard Voss Memorial Clean Water Initiative. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. She didn't speak of greed or corruption. Instead, she placed 3 objects on the podium. A small wooden key Mia had carved that read home. The original rental receipt Ethan had scribbled on lined paper. A paper crane folded from a newspaper announcing her father's conviction. The symbolism was clear. The key that opened the right door. The receipt that gave her safety. The crane that carried hope. The image went viral. Captioned simply, the room she rented saved lives. That night, the 3 of them walked home. The handwritten room for rent sign was long gone. In its place hung a small plaque, Cole Voss family. Are we really keeping my last name? Anna asked, half teasing. Family isn't about names, Ethan said, unlocking the door with Mia's wooden key. It's about who stays. Inside, hundreds of paper cranes hung from the ceiling. Promises folded during hard nights. Symbols of a better tomorrow. Sometimes the most valuable inheritance wasn't money or power. It was the courage to choose love over comfort, truth over silence, and family over fortune.